Hi everyone and welcome to this amazing course where you will learn SQL. Whether you are applying for a job or you're just trying to improve your SQL skills or you're just new to SQL, this course will take you from zero to pro. And I promise you will learn a lot of cool things, and I'm going to make it simple, and I put a lot of effort into this course, so I hope you really enjoy it. So anyways, why don't we just get technical and get down to it. So you can install MySQL from this URL, and I am on Mac, so that's why I'm going to get the Mac version. But if you're on Windows, then you can just simply go MySQL, and then we're gonna do Windows, and then you can get the MSI installer from here. So that's your MySQL, and now we also need to then install some sort of an editor. So there's a beautiful dbeaver community version, and I find this to be very nice. It works. So yeah, I would say install this one. So if you're on Silicon, get this one. If you have the old MacBook, then get the Intel one. And then for Windows, you can just get the installer and install it that way. All right, so now once you have the MySQL installed, then I think the first thing we should do is just check the SQL version that we have. So on a Mac, it goes under user local MySQL. So what you can do, you can say user local MySQL, and then bin, and then MySQL, and then I'm simply going to do version. So as you can see, I'm on version 8.0.39. On Windows, probably it will be added to your path, so you can just do directly MySQL and then the version. So that's for the path. All right, so now what I've done is I've launched my dbeaver, the editor, and when you launch it, you might not see under the database column or navigator any databases listed. So what you need to do is you can come over to your database, then go do new database connection. So from here you can pick all these different, I guess, drivers. So since I'm using MySQL, then I can actually select MySQL, and then you're gonna hit next. So then here you can just leave it a local host because we're running on our local computer, and then username is root. The password is when you are installing MySQL, at that time I would ask you for a password, so you can just use that password here. And once you have done that, then you're just going to hit finish, and what it will do is going to create this right here, localhost. Okay, so then what I can do is I can come here. So we have databases and we have users. We're going to touch upon users when we get into database and security, but for now we're just going to be playing around with the databases. So I already have some databases from my other projects, but what we're going to do is we're going to create this database. So what are we actually creating? So we have this e-commerce store, and they sell gifts. So what we need to do is we need to manage their database for them and create the different tables. So we're going to have three tables: a gift table, a customer table, and orders table. So a gift table is where we store information about different gift types like wedding, birthday, graduation, etc. Then the customers, of course, where the customers will reside, and then the order is where the customers who have placed orders for their gifts, that will actually there. So the way it's going to work is that the orders will have a foreign key for customer and gift, because you want to know which customer ordered what gift. So that's kind of relationship we're trying to build here. Okay, so why don't we get started and create our first table. So I'm going to use the create command followed by table, and then I'm going to do gift. Okay, so that's our first table. And then what I will do is, usually you want to give it ID, so that's your primary, you can say column, and it's going to be an integer type, and I'm going to do primary key. And then the second thing is every gift is going to be having a name, and it's going to be varchar, and I'm going to set it to 100. So that's the length. So I should spell this. So it's going to be varchar like that. Okay, and then it's going to be not null and unique. So what this means is it cannot be null, right? That means we cannot have an empty name. And unique means we don't want to have duplicates. So for example, if I have a wedding entry, I don't want to be adding another wedding entry into this table because this creates duplicates. Anyway, so once you have that, what you can do is select this. You can either hit the execute command here, okay, or the other shortcut is control command. Okay, so we can hit that. Okay, so right now it's saying no database is selected, and actually that's a good point. So as you can see right here on the top, we have no databases selected. That's because we have not made any database yet. So that's a mistake on our side. So why don't we go ahead and create one? So I'm gonna right click here, and I will say create new database, and we're gonna call it gift shop db, like that. Okay, so as you can see, our database is created, and then what I will do, I'm going to right click on it, and then I'm going to do set as default. If you notice on the top, we are seeing gift shop db appearing here, so that means any command we'll be running here will run against this database. Anyways, so now let's try this again. I'm going to select it, I'm going to hit control enter, and there you go. As you can see, the command executed successfully, and what we can do is we can go inside this database, go inside tables, and as you can see, the gift table is actually created. All right, so why don't we now create another table, and I'm going to do the same create table, and this is going to be my customer table. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing where I will say the primary key customer ID, and I will do int, and then it's going to be the primary key. So one thing to keep in mind is I'm keeping all my column names lowercase, and also if I have multiple words, I'm separating them by an underscore. Just makes it clear. And you might see in some databases where some people will just do, for example, like this ID. I mean, that's okay, but the problem is if you're handling this on the front end, then it's kind of hard to tell where the ID is actually coming from. So I would say if you have a customer table, then use that table name and do it like that in the ID. Anyways, so now we're going to give the name. Okay, and the name is going to be, again, varchar, and it's going to be 100 characters long and not null. Okay, meaning we want to have this field populated. And then I'm going to have email. Every customer should have an email because you might want to send them marketing messages. And then it's going to be unique. Okay, we don't want and I mean, emails are unique anyways, but we don't want a customer registering twice with the same email. Okay, and then we're gonna have date of birth, and then it's gonna be date, and then city. We want to know where's the customer coming from, right? So we're going to do varchar 255 and not null. And this is going to be helpful for doing some statistical analysis, which you guys will see later. Okay, so when that's done, I'm going to select everything, and this time I'm going to hit the play button, and there you go. So if it doesn't show up here, just right click and hit refresh, and that's your customer table. Okay, and now we are going to create the orders table. So you can see it'll be a little bit different than the other one. So start off same, create table, orders. Now why am I calling it orders? Because the order keyword is a reserved keyword in SQL, and we're going to actually see that later on. Anyway, so I'm going to start with the order ID, same int, primary key. You guys are getting a hang of this now. Okay, now I need to reference this customer table, right? So that's why I'm going to create customer ID, and it's going to be not null. Now we're not done with this yet. You can't just simply put this here and say it's going to create a reference to that table. We need to do something special. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys. So I have then the gift ID int not null, like that. Okay, and then finally the amount that they're going to pay for this gift, and we're saying it's 2 decimal places. Okay, and now we need to create a constraint, right? So what kind of constraint are we talking about? Well, we don't want the amount to be 0 or less. Okay, so we want people to pay positive money actually if there's something as negative. Anyway, so I'm going to do constraint, and then I'm going to do not non-negative amount. That's my constraint name. And then what are we checking? Well, we want to check that the amount is greater than 0. So what this will do is if you try to insert a row or entry or record into the orders table where the amount is 0 or less, it's going to actually flag an error and not do that. Now also I want to add a date order purchased or placed actually. So we want to know when did the customer place that order. And finally, now let's take care of this foreign key. So I'm going to do foreign, and then I'm going to do key. Okay, and then you want to give it the column name, and then it references something. So we want to say it references customer, and what does it reference? The customer ID, like that. So then we're just going to do the same thing. Let me scroll up, and we're going to do foreign key, and then this time I'm going to do gift ID. Okay, as we said, a customer orders a gift. So references and references, let me just copy this because I think probably made a mistake, and then it's going to be from the gift table, and it's going to be gift underscore ID. Okay, so one thing I just want to mention here is when you create this relationship, it should, when you talk about it, it should be a normal English flow or normal language flow. Is what I mean is, for example, is we say a customer places an order, right, for a gift. So that's why how we are building this relationship. Anyway, so before I forget, let me select everything and execute, and excellent. I think we can just do a refresh, and boom, we have the orders table also created. As you can see, there's the constraint that we said, non-negative, and then also the foreign keys are listed here. Okay, so that's beautiful. So I think we're done with this one. I can probably, I don't know, get rid of all of this, or you can just double click. Oh, sorry. You can just come here to, let's say, SQL, and then I can do new SQL script, and that'll open another tab where you can start writing the SQL. So now let's see how we can insert data into our tables. To insert data, you just use the insert command, actually insert into. So what I will do is insert into and followed by the table name. So let's say gift, and then you want to give it the column. So I'm going to say gift ID, that's my column, then the name. And then what do we want to insert? So we're going to say values like that. And then I'm going to say 1, and then it's going to be birthday, like that. I think I spelled this incorrectly. So it's going to be birthday, like that. So now I'm going to execute this, and as you can see at the bottom, we didn't get any error, and one row was inserted. Now I'm going to show you guys how we can see the data, but let's go ahead and first insert the data first. Now you can also insert multiple rows. So what I can do is I can say this, I can do gift ID, and then we can do name. Okay, and then I'm going to come to new line, and then what we can do is, let's say I want to have one for wedding, and then I'm going to have one for graduation. Okay, then I'm going to have for let's say holiday. I don't know if people give gifts to each other on a holiday, but anyways, we will insert it. And then I forgot to place a comma, and then finally I also want to have one for, let's say, baby. Okay, and then maybe we want to also insert one for, let's say, New Year. I don't know, a New Year gift. Anyway, so at this point you can see I'm inserting multiple records into the gift table. So let's execute that, and boom, 5 rows were inserted. Beautiful. So now following the same kind of strategy, I can get rid of this. I don't need this. I'm going to insert values into my customer. So I'm saying basically, let me quickly fix these. Okay, so what I'm saying here is I have these customers, and it's the same idea. We're inserting multiple records, and you specify the column names and then their values. Okay, so we are going to select it and then hit Control Enter, and boom, those have been inserted. So that's beautiful. So now let's insert some orders. So again, same idea. I'm basically saying here that I have the order ID, the customer ID, and then the gift ID, the amount, and then we are specifying these right here. And as you can see, they are right here. So at this point I can select everything, and let's try to execute it. Okay, we got an error, and it looks like it is not recognizing the date order placed. So let's go on over to the orders table. Let's go to columns and see if we made a mistake. So as you can see, the date order place is what we call it. but actually we're saying date order placed. So what I wanted to call it date order placed. So this will be a good point, or I guess time, to then let's see how we can alter a column in a table. So the way you're going to alter the column name is you use something called, well, the alter command. And we're going to alter, and then I'll say table, okay, and I'm going to do orders, and you want to do change. Okay, so I'm going to specify the incorrect name. So I'm going to copy this one, place it here, and then we want to change it to this. Okay, and it's going to be a timestamp. So what we are saying is alter the table orders and change this column to this column. And the type is timestamp. So let's execute it. And as you can see, something happened. So if I come here and do a refresh, boom, this is placed now. So that's how you alter a column name. So if you make a mistake, no problem. You can, now you know how to fix it. And as you can see here, the error is gone. So I need to insert this here, and I think that should get rid of this error. Let me just bring it back here. Okay, so now that we have that, I think we can insert these. So I'm going to select all and hit Control Enter, and it looks like no error. So we got data in our table. All right, now let's talk about how we can see the data that we have actually inserted into our table. How do you do that? So the way we can do this, we can use the something called a select statement. So I can do select. We're going to do star from gifts. Okay. So what select star means, just give me all the columns, and that's what we're trying to do here. You can also select just specific column, so just give it the column name, and if I hit enter, as you can see, I'm only getting that column name. You can also then use the where clause to further filter the data. So for example, I can say name from filter where g dot name is equal to, let's say I just want to see the holiday one. Okay, then I can hit enter, and boom, I'm only getting that specific entry, right? So I can also, for example, let's say I want to do customer C. Let's say I want to pull some customer record. So I can do select star from customer or C dot if we know their name. So let's say we had that green alien. Then if I hit enter, boom, you're only getting that record. So for example, in an e-commerce store or any other website, you might use this to when somebody's trying to log in or their name, you can use that here to find info about them and maybe display to them. Now let's say we also want to find out all the customers who have only Gmail account, right? So how do we do that? Well, for that one, you can use something called the like operator, and with the percent wild character. So for example, I can then do like this. So I have the same thing, select star from customer, and then I'm going to do email. So let me just get rid of this so you guys can have a better idea. So I can do where email like, okay, you're going to use that. Then you're going to do the percent sign like that, and then followed by the domain. So let's say I want to do this. Okay, so if I hit enter, boom, as you can see, it's showing me all the customers whose email address is Gmail. So maybe you want to use this to figure out for analysis purposes how many customers are using Gmail, how many are using Hotmail, and things like that. Okay, we're gonna get rid of that. Now let's talk about sorting and ordering, how we can actually sort the data. So let's say I want to select star from orders. Okay, and then I'm going to do order by an amount, right? We want to get some data and we want to see the all the orders, but we want to kind of order by amount. So when you do order by amount, so what SQL does is it's going to order everything in the ascending order, right? So you can see the smallest on the top and the largest one is on the bottom. And if you want to go the other way, just do descending, and if I run it, boom, you get the idea. It goes like that. Now we can also sort by multiple columns. You're not just restricted to one. So for example, I can do first sort by amount, okay, then sort by the when you did order was placed. So if I hit it, so as you can see, first we sort by the amount, and then it's going to go ahead and sort it by the date. Now you can also combine different conditions like and or logical operators to maybe filter the data. So for example, I can come here and let's say I'm going to get rid of that, and then so let's say I select this. So let's say I want to figure out that for customer one, give me all the orders and maybe anything that was below $20, right? So how do you do that? Well, you can do like this. So we can say select star from orders, where we're gonna do CO dot customer ID is equal to 1, and we can do amount is less than $20. Okay, so let's run it. As you can see, this is all the orders from customer one where the amount was less than $20. Maybe you want to just do like this, that hey, customer one or the amount was less than $20. So in this case, you're saying either this or either that, right? So it's going to give you both. Okay, now let's see how we can update records in SQL. So let me say I bring this and I'm gonna look at this and I want to update something. So what we can do is, let's say for this customer one, I think he has this one for $19, this one for 19. So maybe I want to update this record, and let's say whatever this product is they bought, and we want to give them some kind of discount. So how do we do that? Well, you use something called the update command. So I can do update. Okay, I'm going to do update and then the table name, and then we're going to do set. Okay, and then I'm going to do amount is equal to, let's say I don't know, we're just going to give this person a discount. We're going to do the new price is $17.99, and then you want to specify the where condition, and we're going to do order ID is equal to 6, right? So that specific one we want to modify. So I'm gonna hit enter and boom. So now let's bring this up so we can do select star from orders. Okay, where order ID is equal to 6. So if you guys remember, it was $19.99, and now after the update, the value is now $17.99. You can also update multiple columns. So I'm gonna leave this here. So what I will do is I'll say amount is this, but let's say they exchanged the gift for something. They bought a different kind of gift, so we can just so remember, well, one here, but let's say they now exchange for a different gift and we give them a different price. So maybe it's $16.99. So let me run it, and there you go. And now if I run it, boom, as you can see, the gift ID got updated, and at the same time the amount got updated. So one thing you want to be cautious with this one, if you're doing this in production, make sure you are always using the where clause when doing the updates, because if you don't, you might end up updating all the records. And always have a backup before you do the update. Anyway, so now the other command, I'm going to just move this here, and I'm going to remove this so we can see all the orders. Let me run it, boom. So the other command we want to run is, let's say, the delete command. So what I can do is, let's say I want to delete maybe this record. So what I will do is I'll say delete from, and then you say the table name. So we're going to do orders, and then I'm going to do where order ID. So the same thing, you want to make sure use the where clause with the delete, otherwise you will end up deleting everything. Okay, anyway, so let's run it, and as you can see, delete was successful. And if you guys remember, we deleted that last one, and boom, that is gone. There's another command called truncate, and it goes the same thing. So it's basically like truncate like this. Okay, let me just do that. So truncate, let's say I want to delete the whole orders table. I can just do truncate, and let me actually just run it. I can do truncate table orders like that, and if I run it, okay, so as you can see here, the command executed. So it doesn't actually delete the table, but what it does is it just wipes it clean. So if I, for example, run the select, there you go, you can see the table is all empty. Just reinserted those values, so that if I come back here, boom, we're back in action. Okay, so that's your truncate command. So what's the difference between truncate and delete? Well, the truncate is faster, is more efficient for deleting all records. And unlike delete, truncate resets the table but keeps its structure, so that's very important. Okay, there's another command. It's a very deadly command. It's called the drop command, right? So before I show you how this command works, maybe it's a good idea that we create a dummy table. So let's say dummy, okay, and we're gonna destroy dummy. How's that? Okay, and then I'm gonna give it an ID int, and we will say primary key like that. So let me execute it. Boom, got executed. Refresh this here. And there you go. So it's your dummy table. Anyway, so as I mentioned, this is a deadly command, and you want to use this with care. So let's say I want to drop this table. So I'm going to do drop table, and let's just do dummy, because this command is irreversible and you really want to use it with caution. That's why if you work in production houses, very few people have, like super admins have access to this. Anyways, so I can just run it, and it's going to give you a warning that, hey, are you sure? We're just going to say okay. And now if I come back here and do a refresh, boom, the table dummy has been dropped basically. All right, so now let's move into the concepts of joins. From here, things are going to get a bit exciting. We will start with inner joins. So inner joins connect two tables, but only include rows where there's a match in both tables. Think of it as finding the intersection of two sets. You can use inner join or simply join. Both work the same way. So let's see which gifts have been ordered. The gift that has been ordered should be in the order table, correct? So let's do that. So let's, okay, minimize that like that. All right, so what we can do is we can do select, and then I'm going to do the gift.name and then the order.amount, okay? And then I'm going to do from gift G, and then you want to do inner join, and then we're going to do on orders, okay? And then on, what you do is you say gift ID is equal to order dot gift ID. So remember, there's that relationship between them, that any gift that has been ordered will be in the gift table, sorry, in the order table, and they will be referenced by the gift ID. So what we're saying is, give me the gift name and their amount. Okay, so let's run this, and there you go. As you can see, these are all the gifts that have been ordered, and they exist here. Maybe you want to use this to see which gifts are performing well, or which products, I guess. So that's that. And as you can see, if I just do a select star from gift, let's say, if I run it, so as you can see, we have this new year, and I didn't see that here. So if, for example, if I run it, as you can see, we don't have any new year gift here. So maybe you want to know which gifts are not actually being ordered. So for that, what you can do is something called a left join. So let me do that, left join. So what left join does is it'll get you all the values from the left table and then any matching values from the right table. And if something is missing in the right table, it's going to just set it to null. So let's run it. So that's what I'm talking about. As you can see, we're getting all the entries from the gift table, and then whichever doesn't exist in the orders, basically that's set to null. Now there's something also called a right join. Okay, and that's the same thing. It will get you all the values from the orders table and then corresponding values from the gift table. But how about if you want to combine the right and the left join? So there's something called a union, that we can use the union operator or command for that. So some databases like Postgres, they have something called I think a full outer join or full join or something, but MySQL doesn't have it. But actually we can simulate that. So let me do left join, then I'm going to copy this, and then we're going to come here, we're going to do right join, right join. Okay, and then I'm going to do union. So what it is doing is it's going to take the values from this table, and then it's going to take the values from this, and it's going to do a combine. So now one thing you need to keep in mind about union is that each query must have the same number of columns and compatible data types. So as you can see here, these are the same number of columns. And unlike join, which combines table horizontally by adding columns, union combines results vertically by stacking rows. So let's run this, and let's see. So as you can see, this basically combined the result from the left join and the right join, and you get the data. So by default, union is going to remove the duplicates. If you want to see the duplicates, then you're just going to do union all. So I'm going to select, and if I run it, boom, now you can see the duplicates and everything coming in. So now we're going to move on to something called a case statement. So the case statement is like a decision making tool that helps you decide what to do based on certain condition. So it will check the condition one by one, and if it finds a condition that is true, it returns specific results. So let's say we want to know the orders that have expired and which are new, and the one we need to send notifications for. So how can we do that? Well, case is a perfect candidate for that. So let's start out by saying select. Then I'm going to do the gift ID. Okay, on the gift ID, then the date the order was placed. Okay, like that. Then we're going to start with case and then end like that. So I'm going to come here and I'm just going to do, let's say I want to do from the orders table like that. Okay, so what do we do here actually? Well, what we can do is we can say when the the order placed is less than, so some date. So we're going to do, let's say 2024, and let's say 11, or let's say, I don't know, 10. And I'm going to do, let's say 15, and we're going to just do 12 o'clock. Then we say expired. Maybe let's do actually I don't know, let's say August. So anything that's I'm gonna do first. So anything that's before August 1st, we can just say that's expired actually. And then what we can do is the second case. So I'm gonna do when. Let me copy this because it's basically kind of same. We're just gonna make a little bit of difference. Then the next one we're gonna say if the date is greater than August 1st, and now we're going to do the AND operator, and it is date order place is less than, let me copy this. So we're going to do this one. I think I should bring this on the next line so you guys can see what's going on. And for this one, so let's say September 31st, right? Then we're going to do, say, like notify. We want to notify the customer that, hey, come pick your order. And finally, we're just going to do the else. Otherwise, this is just mark as new. So, and then finally, I can come here and you want to just name this column. So I can do order life, I guess, or something. I don't know. So, but what we're saying here is any order that's been placed, and that's like before. So I guess 3 months from now, then it's just expired. We don't care. And then any order placed between August and September, that's going to be, we need to notify the customer, and anything else that'll be new. So let's run it and see what we get. Okay, we have an error, and let's see where is the error. So let's see date order placed, and okay, incorrect timestamp value 2024-09-31. 2024-09-31. Let's see what's the problem here. September doesn't have 30 days, so that's the problem. Okay, sorry, September doesn't have 31 days. Okay, so let's run it, and there you go. So as you can see, you're kind of getting this nice kind of display. And so let's say these are all expired, and let's say this one we need to notify the customer, and this is a new one, so we don't care. Now there's something also called group by, so let's take a look at group by. So let's get rid of this. And the group by statement in SQL is used to group rows that have the same values in specific columns. So it's like a summary kind of thing. It helps you categorize and summarize data. So let's say we want to know how many customers we have from each city, right? So what I can do is I can do something like this. Select c.city, okay, and then we want to do a count on it. c.city, and of course we're going to select from the customers table, C, and then you want to do group by c.city. Okay, let me run it. Boom. So as you can see, from Toronto we have 2, Chicago we have one, and blah blah blah. So what we're saying is basically group the records by the city and then do a count, right? You can also group by multiple columns. Say you want to analyze a customer's purchasing behavior and see which gifts they buy more. So how do we do that? Okay, so I'm gonna just get rid of that. So we're gonna do or order dot customer ID, and then I'm gonna do o dot gift ID. Okay, and then also a count like that. Okay, and I'm going to select from orders like that. Okay, so in this case I'm going to group by multiple columns. So I'm going to do o dot customer ID and g dot o dot gift ID like that. Let's run it. So as you can see, customer number one bought gift, sorry, yeah, customer number one bought gift one 4 times. Then they bought this, whatever this gift is, 2 times, and then you get the idea. So you kind of get an idea of, okay, which product is being bought by which customer more often, and that way either you can use this as in a recommendation kind of engine, you can recommend them more of that or things like that. Okay, so there's other kind of aggregate functions that go with the I guess group by. So count is one of them. That's the one I just showed you guys. But then there's also the sum uh, function you can use. So the way you do it is, for example, I can also do sum and I can do amount. Let me run it. So as you can see, they have spent about 4 of these and they have spent this much money on this one. And then you can get the idea. They bought 2 of this gift, number 3, and they spent $259. So you can get that. You can also then do the average, right? So let's say you just want to find the average. So you get the average right here. And then also what you want to do is maybe, so let's go through here and let's say I want to find the maximum value that we have for our from our orders. So let's say I'm going to do that and we're going to do orders like that. So the maximum order that we have so far is $229, but maybe you want to do the minimum one, and that's the minimum one. Maybe you don't want to sell this item anymore because it's not bringing in enough money. And then just for statistical people who are into statistics, you also have something called a standard deviation, and that's basically show you how spread the values are in your orders are actually. Okay, so now we can move on to something called a having clause, and this is something you can use with group by to further filter the results. And now let's see how we can use it to show customers who have ordered more than one item, right? So let's start off simple and let's say I'm going to do select customer ID and then I'm going to do the gift ID. So this is kind of the same query we had before. I should have kept it anyways. And then I'm going to do orders, and then what I will do is I'll say group by, okay, and then we will do o.customer ID and o.gift ID. Okay, so you have this. So but I want to now know customers who have ordered, let's say maybe place more than 2 orders, right? So how do we do that? Well, this is where you use the having command, and I can do having count greater than, let's say, 2. Okay, so I'm going to run it, and there you go. So we have that, or I can just say maybe 1. So as you can see, we're getting all these records where these customers have placed more than 1 orders. Alright, so now let's put all the previous commands we learned to prepare a report where we list the customers, display their name, total amount, and then the number of orders. So I think that'll be pretty cool. So what we can do is start off here, and if you guys want to try it, go ahead, try it. So it's going to combine the join, the group by, all, and then some aggregate functions. But anyways, I'll start off here. So I want to display the customer name, and then I want to display the total amount. Okay, so how much money they've spent, and we're going to call it total spent. Okay, and then finally the count. Okay, and we're gonna call this, by the way, total orders, like that. And then I want to read from customers, like that, and we're gonna do a join. Okay, and on orders, and then I'm gonna do O dot customer ID is equal to C dot customer ID. And then finally, I'm going to do a group by, and we're going to do O dot customer ID, like that. So what we're saying is, uh, get all the customers that have placed orders and then group them by their customer ID. Give me their name, how much money they have spent, and then the total number of orders. So if everything went well, we should get a nice result. So as you can see, Jackie Chan spent $439 and total orders were 6. Okay. And then Muhammad Ali, 489, and wow, okay, this guy's been spending money, so it's got 7 orders. So you get the idea. You can use this to kind of gauge, how your customers purchasing behavior is, and you can always put this on a nice dashboard. Okay, so now let's go through some, I guess, functions, mathematical functions that are very helpful. So the first one is, say, ABS. And as you guessed it, if I run it, it will give you the absolute value. And then the second, I think I should just put this. The second one is, say, ceiling. So it'll give you the higher value, 2.3, let's say. If I run it, then it gives you that. Then the other one is that comes with it is the floor. And then let's say if I do 2.3, and if we run it, then as you can see, it gave me the floor value. And then finally, we also have the round, so you guessed it, it will round the value, and you need to specify the decimal points, and it's 2.35. And then also we have the square root. So I can do square root, and if I do 16, the answer should be 4. Like that. Okay, so now these are the simple math functions, but we can also use some date functions which are very helpful. So let's say I want to get the current date, so you can just do current date, like that. Oh man. And then you can see I'm getting the current date. But let's say you want to extract the different parts from it. How do you, let's say, day, year, month, how do you do that? Well, you guessed it, use the extract command, and I'm going to do day from, and then my calendar. So if I run it, there you go, I'm getting the 15th. That's the 15th of this month. You can also do year, and boom, you're getting 2024. Okay, now there's another function called a date format. So let's use that. So let me just get rid of that. And what it does is, you can basically use it to format the date. That's all you do basically. So let's say we take our how about this? So if I go here, for example, select star from orders. As you can see, the date is coming like this. You have the date portion and the time. But what if I just want to grab the date and not the time? How do I do that? So for that, we're going to use the date format, not add, format, like that. And then what you do is you're going to do date order placed, and then you specify the format that you want to what you want to grab from basically. So I want to grab the year, month, and the day. So if I run it, as you can see, I'm only getting those. If you want just the time, so I guess you can just do hour, minute, and seconds, and you're getting the hour, minute, and seconds. So that's how you can format that. Now there's also functions for time. It's kind of same to date format. So for example, if I want to just get the current time, I can just do now, and it will give me that. And then we also have extract, just like the date. So let's say I want to do hour from, and then I can do local time. Then I'm getting the hour from local time. Then we also have the add and subtract function. So for example, I can do date, and I'm going to do sub. Okay, so subtract, and then I'm going to do current date. Okay, so for current date, I want to subtract. But what do you want to subtract? Well, you need to do something like interval and 1 month, like that. So let me run it. So as you can see, today's it's November 15, and 1 month will be obviously October 15. So that's that. There's also add. Okay, if I run it, then we're adding 1 month to the current date. Okay, so how can we, how can this be useful? Well, let's say we would like to remind our customers about their orders a month after they have placed their order. So how can we do that? Well, this is where we're going to use the date add. So let's say I'm going to do this. Date order placed like that. And then I'm going to do date add. And then I'm going to do order date order placed. And then we're going to do interval, not that. Okay, interval 1, I'm going to do month. Okay, and let's just say remind on. Okay, and let me just bring this here, and then finally we're going to do from order. So let's run it. Okay, so what we're saying is, so let's say your customers, as soon as they make a purchase, and you want to I don't know, have some sort of a reminder for yourself or whatever, then you can use this technique. As you can see, let's say they place the order on, let's say, November 1st, so December 1st you might want to send a reminder or maybe an email, like a marketing email or something. So that's how you would do that. All right, we also have string functions. So now let's look at the string functions. So the simplest one is the concat. So let's say you want to combine two strings. So for example, I'm going to take the customer name, and then let's say I'm going to say is from, and then I can do I don't know, c.city, and let's just do from customer like that. So as you can see, I got an error, and the reason is because I forgot a comma here. Let's run it again. Boom, there you go. So we can say Jackie Chan is from Toronto. So let's say now that, for example, I'm going to copy this. So I just intentionally added a space. You can see at the end. There you go. But let's say you have in production, some people might add, spaces there, have spaces at the end of their data or something. How do you clean that? Well, use the trim function for that. So I can do trim. Let me run it, and let me copy this again. And if I come here, boom, the space is gone. So this one has space, this one, the space is gone. Okay, then you also have functions like substring, position. So let's just see that through an example. So let's say I want to grab only the email domains for every customer, right? I just want to grab the domain names and that's it. So how can we do that? So for that, we're going to use the substring and the position functions. Okay, so I'm going to do, for example, select. So let's just do, for example, like this, email from customer. It's plain and easy. So I got all the emails, but let's say I just want to grab the domain part. I want to strip everything away. So how do we do that? Well, for that, you would have to use the position, for example. So if I come here, and if I just do position, okay, and then I'm going to find the position of the @ symbol, and then I want to say in c.email. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, I got an error, and let's see. I think because of this. Yeah. Okay, so as you can see, this @ symbol is at position 15. This one is at 12 and stuff like that. But now what we need to do is there's another function called substring. So let's say I have substring, and I want to do is from the email. Okay, and then you want to give it the starting position. So let's say for this one, I'm going to say 15, and then give me the rest of it. So what we're saying is from the email, starting at position 15, give me the rest of the text. So if I, for example, run it, so you can see I got Hotmail, but I can't just like go here and put it here because I want to know. So how can we combine these two and get this job done? Okay, so what we can do is I'm going to take the position, okay, and I'm going to cut it, okay, and then you can put functions within functions, and then I'm going to put it here. And now if I run it, boom, as you can see, I'm getting just that part. But you know what, I'm also getting the @ symbol. I don't like this, I want to get rid of it. So we just add a 1 to it, and there you go. We are now getting just the domain part. But how about we actually now, I want to do a count. My manager's picky, and he's like, hey, can you just tell me how many Hotmails or how many Gmails we have? How are you going to do that? Okay, so in that case, we're going to use group by. So what are we grouping by? Well, we're grouping by the domains. So you can just take this. I'm going to copy it, put it here, and then what I will do is I'm going to do count star. I don't need this. Okay, that was just for demonstration. But if I run it now, as you can see, I have one Hotmail, and then I have two Gmail, and I have one Yahoo. So that's pretty cool, I think. All right, now let's jump into something called analytical functions. So these are powerful tools in SQL that allow you for advanced data manipulation, providing deeper insights into data sets. Okay, so what they do is they actually simplify complex calculations. So let's start with the rank function. This function assigns a rank to each row within a partition of a result set. Actually, that's what it does. So the rank is determined based on the order we specify, and it could be either ascending or descending. So let's see an example. So let's say I'm going to do select customer ID, okay, and then the amount, and I'm going to do it from the order. So if I run this, I'm seeing this. So this is not really meaningful, but what I want to do is partition by every customer, and then for every customer, when I partition it, I would like to maybe display the amount in an ascending order. So we can see for every customer what was the biggest purchase they made and what was the smallest purchase they made. And how do we do that? Okay, so this is where the rank comes into play. So what I will do is I'm going to come here and we're going to do something called rank, like that. Okay, and then we're going to rank over. I'm going to do partition. I'm going to do by, and we're going to do partition by the customer ID, and I'm going to order by amount, and let's go with descending, like that. Because if I run it, of course I got an error because I need to put this here, but boom, that's what I'm talking about. So as you can see, let's call this, because that column name rank, there you go. Okay, so as you can see, so I have this customer one is partitioned, and then it's given a rank like that. So let's make sense of this. So as you can see, this is their biggest purchase, got a rank of 1. That's the second, got a rank of 2. Now here's something interesting. If you look at these two, they are the same values. That's why they're getting the same rank. So that's how this works. Now let's say for this customer, 1, 2, 3, again same thing, and that's how it works. So if two things get the same rank, then the next value you will have in the list will not get like 5, because that's what you would assume, that the next one will be 5. It will be actually 6. To actually have a continuous sequence, you can use something called dense rank. And then what dense rank will do is it will not skip the sequences, but it will actually just continue with the same sequence. So for example, if I had, let's say, customer 1, and it had the rank of, let's say, I'm just giving an example of this, and it was 19.99. So if there was, for customer 1, if there was another value, so ideally you would assume that would be like 5, and let's say this was 999. Actually, so with rank, it won't be 5, it'll be actually 6. But with dense rank, what you get is you get like 5. And that's how it works. So I hope that makes sense. Now the next function we have is the row number. So let me actually just keep this. I'm going to keep it. But what I will do is I will just come here and I will do row number, like that. There you go. So I'm going to run this. What row number does is it is going to assign, and let me just say here, come here. Let's do sequence. Okay. So as you can see, it's basically now assigning to each, I guess, record a kind of sequence, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and stuff like that. So how can this be actually useful to us? Well, let's say our job is that for every customer, we want to get their highest expense, or like, sorry, the highest amount they've spent, right? So how can we do that? We're gonna do something called subqueries. And the way we do this is like this. So I'm going to start by saying select customer ID, and then I'm going to do the amount, and then I'm going to do sequence, and then I'll do from. Now what are we selecting from? Okay, so here what I will do is I'm going to take this table and I'm going to put it, sorry, this query I'm going to put inside here, and then this one, let's just call it SQ, but this one I'm just going to call it SEQ. And then what you want to do is, sorry, I'm going to come here and I'll say where SEQ is equal to 1. Okay, I don't need this one. So if I execute this now, as you can see, well, maybe we don't need this one. Let's run it. So as you can see, for every customer, I'm getting their biggest or largest purchase, basically. All right, so you wanna use this maybe on a chart or dashboard to see what's the biggest purchase they've made. So now, can you think of a way to get maybe the smallest purchase they've made by a customer? You can use the same query. You just need to change one simple thing. Anyways, pause the video, give it some time, but what you want to do is just change this to ascending. And if I run it now, then now for every customer, I'm getting the smallest purchase that they have made. All right, so now let's take a look at two powerful analytical functions called lag and lead. So let's start with the lag function. The lag function allows you to access data from a previous row in your result set. You can use this to see how trends change from previous time to current time. Well, let's see this in action. So let me get rid of this. So I'm going to do select O dot, that's the order, customer ID, and then I'm going to do the amount, and let's just do the date order placed, like that. And then what I will do is I'm going to do lag, okay, and then I'm going to lag date order placed, like that, okay, and then we'll just do by one row, and then we're going to do the same thing over and partition by customer ID and order by O dot date placed, okay, like that. And then we're just going to call it previous date, and let's just do from orders. Okay, so let's run it first, and then we're going to talk about it. So as you can see, I'm having the customer ID because we're partitioning, by the way, by the customer ID, and then I'm having the amount and then when the order was placed. So now what the lag is doing is actually listing the previous date that the order was placed. So what do I mean by that? So let's say this is the, let's say, the first order, and then so initially it's going to be null, but then as you can see, this is my next order, so the previous order will come here. So then this is my next order, so then this order will come here, and then finally, let's say I have this order that's going to come here, and that's my last order that I placed. So as you can see, it actually is showing me, like, you're basically lagging, right? So this is going to show the previous result. But how can we use this in a real world app? Well, let's say you want to know how often do your customers place orders, right? So you can actually use this to know that. Well, how is this beneficial to us? So let's say I want to figure out how long it takes for a customer to place order. Want to know the number of days maybe, or that kind of thing. So basically kind of better align us with our marketing and stuff. So anyway, so what I can do is I can come here, and we have seen this before, the date diff function. So I can do, let me just click here to maximize this. So I can do date diff, okay, and then I'm going to do O dot date order placed, and then I'm gonna just take all the lag, copy it, and I'm going to place it here. And then what I will do is I'm gonna say, call this days between orders, like that. I think you don't need the comma. Yeah, so let's run it. So there you go. So as you can see, that's how many days it took for this customer to place their order. So as you can see, between this date and this date, basically it almost took them a year. Let's see this one. So for example, this one, they place it on the same day, so that's like 0 days. But look at this one. So this one is exactly 1 month, right? It's like 30 days. So from November 1st, and then the other order was on October 1st. So you get the idea. You kind of get like this nice presentation where you can see, who's actually purchasing more from you, and maybe you can use this to offer them some kind of promotion, right? If for example, like this customer, let's say, I don't know, it's like taking that many days to place an order. Well, okay, we might not want to offer anything to this customer, so you get the idea. Now, there's another thing called a lead function, and what I can do is maybe get rid of this, that. Now, what does a lead function do? So a lead function allows you to access data from the next row. So a lag was from the previous, this from the next row. Now think of it as looking ahead in a list. So for example, if you have sales data, lead can help you forecast future sales based on past trends. Okay, so let's say I'm going to come here and I'm going to do a lead in this case, and then we can do amount. Right, so that's like, for example, I want to do what the previous purchase, now what was the next purchase, things like that. And then we're just going to do the same thing, partition by customer ID, and then when the order was placed, and then we can do next amount like that, and then the rest will basically stay the same. And let's just run it. Okay, we got an error because we did this. Okay, so one thing we can do is just take this and we're going to place it here, so they're just kind of like side by side. Let me run it. Boom. Okay, so now you get the idea. Now they're kind of side by side. So as you can see, this was the next purchase, right? So as you can see, that's here, and then this is the next purchase, it's here. Then this is the next purchase, that's here, and then finally this is the next purchase, that's here, and then that's the final purchase that they have placed. So how can this be useful to us? Well, we can use this to find trend in customer spending. So what do I mean by that? All right, so let's do this. So I can come here, for example, and then what I can do is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this lead, copy it, okay, and then what I'll do is minus order.amount, and then we're going to call it as diff. So let's run it. So now as you can see, the difference in the customer spending, right? Is it going up? Is the trend going down? Like, see, for example, here they spend 119, but then suddenly they spend $19. So what was the reason? Were they upset, or what was the reason? For example, this customer, for example, they spend this much, but then they suddenly spend $85. Maybe they like the service. So you kind of get the idea how these functions can be very helpful in analytical situations. So using lag and lead on large data sets can impact performance, especially if the columns used are not indexed. Now there's also something called a sum function, and in SQL you can calculate the running total using the sum function for a column. So let's say I can do select, I'm going to do o.customer ID, and then I can do o.amount. Okay, and then what I will do is I'll do sum, and then we're going to do the o.amount, okay, like that, and then over, and I'm going to do partition by, and we're going to do o.customer ID, and then I'm going to do order by, and then we're going to do o.date order placed, like so. And then I'm going to call this running sum, and then we're going to order or select from the orders table. So let me run it. So there you go. As you can see, this is the running sum. So this kind of gives you an idea of the overall trend of the customer spending. So for example, the first one was $19, but then the second was 29. So I guess 19 plus 29 is this, and then you keep adding, and finally you get the final amount, which was $439. Now you can do the same thing, and you can also find the moving average. So the way to do moving averages It's a little bit different. So for example, I'm going to do on amount, you do the same thing, partition by. So for in this case, let's say I want to do the, how about we do like this? Let's say I'm going to get rid of all of this, and I'm going to say give me the gift name, the order amount, and then I'm going to do, sorry, the average, and then I will do O dot amount. Okay, and we're going to do it on that, and then we're going to do over, and then partition by, and then I'm going to do gift ID, and then order by, and then I'm going to do date order placed, like that. And I don't want to forget this. Okay, so now I'm going to do rows between, and you want to do two preceding and current row. So what we're saying is do the average between the two preceding rows and then the current row. And let's just call this running average, like that. And then we want to select from orders, and then I'm going to do a join with gift, and then I'm going to do gift ID is equal to order dot gift ID. So let's run it. There you go. So as you can see, these are the gifts that were purchased, and then as you can see, this is the running average that we have for these gifts. So how can you use this? Well, you can use moving average to analyze, let's say, sales trends over time. For example, you can calculate moving average of order amounts to understand the sales performance of a product or category, right? So if the average is going up, means this product is doing well. You might want to order more, but if the trend is going down, then maybe you want to discontinue it. All right, and now we're going to move into views and stored procedure. So what is a view? A view is basically a virtual table created by SQL query. It doesn't store data itself, but presents data from one or more tables in a simplified way. So let's write a query, and let's see how we can use a view. So let's say I have this query. I'm going to do select. Well, before I do that, I think I need to connect to my database. So let's come here. We're going to right click, and I'm going to do connect. And there you have it. All right. So what I will do is I'll say select, and then I'm going to select the, let's say, customer name, and then we're going to do account. Okay. And then we're going to do number of orders. Okay, and then I'm going to do the amount. So we want to basically say the amount the customer has spent, and then the number of orders they have placed. So we want to, let's say, do that, and we're going to do total spent, like that. And then what we will do is we'll say from orders, and then we are going to do a join. So you guys have seen this already, and then I will do c dot customer ID is equal to o dot customer ID, and we're going to group by o dot customer ID. So let me execute it, and as you can see, we have customer names, what they have, the number of orders they have placed, and then the total amount they've spent. So let's say you have, I'll give you a real scenario. Let's say you have contractors that work on your data from outside. You don't want to expose all your database fields, but you just want to expose only the relevant fields, right? So you don't want to give them access to your tables. So what you do in that case is you will create a view, and it's pretty common practice in production that companies do. So the way to create a view is you're just gonna say create, and I'll do view, the keyword, and then we will do customer, and we will do order summary, and we're going to say as. So here we're saying create a view, and that's basically our view. So then I'm going to select it, and we're going to run it. So as you can see, a view has been created. But now how can we actually use this view? So this view is just like a table, but as I said, it is a virtual table. It doesn't actually exist as a table. That's normally how you would create. So then I can just do like this. Select star from customer order summary, like that. And if I run it, boom. As you can see, I'm seeing the same data, but now I have packaged this in a view. And actually, if I come here to the localhost, databases, and then gift shop. And if you go to views, you will actually see, if I refresh, okay, for some reason it's not showing, but the view should be actually listed here under the views section here. And as you can see, it's red because like saying can't find, but it's able to run it. So I don't understand what's going on with this thing. But as you can see, I run it again. Maybe I'm just going to do another refresh. Let's just see if we're going to get lucky. No, we're not. Anyway, so that's how you create a view. And it's not just that, actually. You can even do filtering like how you would do on a normal just a table. So let's say I'm going to call it customer order summary, and then I'll say, well, cos.name is equal to, let's say I'm interested in finding out, how much Jackie Chan ordered. So there you go. So I'm using the view just like a normal table, and it's working well. All right, so next on, we're gonna move to stored procedures. Stored procedures are safe SQL queries that you can run whenever needed. Stored procedures run faster over time because the database optimizes them. You can also add security checks to your stored procedures, which can help you protect your data since you're not exposing your table. Okay, so let's say, if you guys remember, I have a very good case for you guys. So let's say I'm going to do select star from gift. Okay, so as you can see, these are all my gifts, and let's say I want to add another entry to this table. Okay, so the way I would do this is I will basically do insert into, and then what I will do is values. Sorry, I need to specify the table, and then I'm going to specify the, let's say the column. So gift ID name, and then I will say insert into gift, and then values. Okay, so I'm gonna have to, for example, okay, what's the maximum ID? Oh, it's 6. Okay, so you guys remember we used the max function before, so I can do, let's say gift ID. So what this will do is just gonna find the max index, and then what we do, we add a 1 to it, and then I'm going to, let's say, insert my gift. So I will do new year 2. Okay, so that's that. So just to make sure you guys understand this, if I just do select max gift ID, and if I do from gift, then if I run it, as you can see, 6 is the one, right? So what I want to do is I want to insert a new entry into my gift table, and I want to take the max, add 1 to it, insert it. So let's run this. And if I run it, it's saying invalid use of a group function. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, so we're getting this error. One thing I'm making a mistake is, if you guys remember, we have to, I just got carried away, sorry. But the way we did this is gift ID from gift. Right, so as we need to do this select statement. My apologies. So what we need to do is we need to do this select command. Actually, we can't just do max like that. So what we have to do is we say select. So this will return actually the 6, right? And then what we do is to this one, okay, we add a 1. So that's going to be 6 plus 1, 7, and hopefully this will work. Okay, so let's see why. Okay, yeah, so what we need to do is we need to do g dot. You need to do like that, and if I run it, there you go. So that actually worked. So now if I come here and actually do max, it should be 7. There you go. And if I select, let's say, all the entries, then as you can see, 7 has been entered, and that works. Okay, so that's nice and dandy, but we don't want to do this every time. It'll be nice if we can just have a way of just calling some kind of procedure and just passing the name of the gift and let it insert it for us. So how can we do that? Well, so I'm gonna keep this here, and what I will do is I'm gonna break this into multiple lines, and then what we can do, we can create a procedure. So what you do is you say create procedure like that, and if not exists. So if it doesn't exist, we're going to create it. And I usually add the prepended with the P means a procedure, and I'm going to do add gift. We don't want to give it a meaningful name. So it's going to take an input parameter that's going to be a name, and it's going to be a varchar 100. Okay, so that's that. And then we're going to do begin and end. Okay, so you want to put a semicolon here. So now what I will do is I'm going to come here, cut this out, and I'm going to paste this here. And let's just do this, and let's just do this. Okay, so now instead of this, what I will do is I will do name like that. Okay, so now the procedure is going to take care of getting the max ID, and it's going to add 1 to it, and then the insert will happen. So let's select this. I'm going to hit Control Enter, and there you go. The procedure has been created. So let's take a look at it. Let's just do a refresh here, and let's see if I go to procedures. There you go. That's our procedure is being created, and I don't know if the view, there you go. So the view is also showing up. I don't know why it wasn't showing up before, but anyway, so now let's call this procedure. So if I do select star from our gift table, okay, so we have, let's say 7, that's the max, and let's call our procedure and see how we can insert a new value. So I'm going to do add, and then I'll do gift, and now let's say I want to insert holiday 2. I want to insert that. Okay, so we're gonna call it like that, and if I hit run it, there you go. So it's got executed. Let me run this again, and as you can see, there you go. Our insertion has been made. So as you can see, this can be very helpful in your own app. You can create all these procedures that can do most of the redundant work for you, and you can just call it simply. Now to drop a procedure is fairly simple. All you do is just a drop and then procedure, and then followed by the procedure name. So let's say I want to drop this procedure. I'm going to hit enter. Boom, the procedure has been dropped. If I do a refresh, boom, there you go. So before dropping a procedure, it's very important that you make sure you're not dropping like some kind of important procedures, but that's the idea. So one thing you could do, for example, in these procedures is add checks. Let's say security checks, right? You want to make sure that, let's say, the person calling this procedure has the right privileges to insert gift items and things like that. So that's procedures, and I'm just gonna get rid of this. And now the next thing we're gonna tackle is functions. So we have already seen functions, but we can create our own functions to do repetitive tasks like that. So let's say I want to get a customer's age, right? As you guys remember, we didn't create a column for it because it just doesn't make any sense. But what you can do is, since we have the date of birth, then we can calculate the age from that. So how do we do that? Okay, so first let's just do this. Let's do select star from customers c dot customer ID is equal to 1. Okay, so did I make a mistake here? I did. I forgot the where clause. So there you go. Okay, so let's say this is our date of birth. So now what we can do is we can use some functions that we have seen before to calculate the date of birth. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, I can do like this. So I can say select c dot date of birth. So we will display the date of birth. You know what? Why don't we also display the name? So name and then date of birth. C dot date of birth, and then what we can do is we can say we can do a date diff. Okay, and would want to do the date diff again. So the current date, okay, and then the c dot date of birth, and then you want to divide it by 365 because this is in days, so we want to divide by 365 days, and then we are going to do from customer C like that. So what this will do is this will create the I think I probably made a mistake here. Let me just see. I think I should do that. Okay, so this will basically do, okay, COB. I don't know why I did that. So what this will do is we are going to do a date diff between the current date and we'll subtract it basically from the date of birth divided by 365, not 356, to get the date of birth. So let's run it, and as you can see, we're getting the years, but as you can see, this has got the fraction part and all, so it'll be a good time to use the floor function. So let's use it and let's run it, and boom. And why don't we just say as age? Okay, there you go. So now you can see that we are calculating the age for our customers, and we didn't have to create a column for it. That's a very common practice in production, that calculated fields, you don't want to create columns for it because you're wasting space for no reason. You can just get them like that. So as you can see, for example, 1994, so this is 2024, so I think that's 30 years. That's that. Anyway, so this is nice and dandy, but what will be nice if we can maybe create a function for this and then call it. So how can we do that? Okay, so the way we're going to do this, we're going to do create, okay, and we're going to do function, and then I'm going to call it f for function age. Okay, and what we want to pass this to it is the customer ID, and that's going to be an integer, and then it is going to return the age to us, so that's why we're going to do returns, and it's going to be int. Okay, and let's just put this here, and then what I will do is I'll say begin, and of course it's going to do the end thing, so let's just cut this out and let's just put this here. Okay, so that's nice and dandy, but now how can we return the age back to us? So for that, we're going to declare a variable, and just like how you do in other programming languages, we're going to declare a variable in the declare keyword, and it's going to be age. And then now we need to take this and age and put it into this variable. So how do we do that? So I'm going to remove this because we don't need this anymore, but what I will do is I'm going to remove this as well, and then we use the into keyword, and I'm going to do age. So what it's going to do is going to take this and it's going to put it into the age variable, and then what I will do in the end is we will do return age. Okay, so this should return the age to us nice and dandy. So now I'm going to select this and I'm going to run it, and oh no, there's an error. So as you can see that it says that this function has none of deterministic, NoSQL, and these in the declaration. So a deterministic means is if you have a function where you pass in, let's say, a value, and it always return the same value. So for example, if this was adding two numbers, and if I add those two numbers, it will all return the same value. That's a deterministic function. So what we need for this one is we need to add something called NoSQL. So what does that mean? If we don't add the NoSQL, so basically we're saying that we are not modifying any data and it is safe to do. As you can see, all we're doing is just getting the age and returning it. We're not doing any modification, and this is actually a security kind of feature, you can say, from SQL. Anyways, with that out of the way, I can select this and run it again, and there you go. We have our function actually created. So it doesn't list the function here. Some databases you will actually see it. I've seen it in Oracle that it will actually, okay, there you go. It's actually under procedures. I think in Oracle I've seen that it has a functions folder for it, but you can see we have the function defined here. So now let's use it actually. So the way we're going to do this is you're just going to do select and f underscore get age. Let's say for our first customer, I'm going to do this. We supply the ID, and if I run it, it actually gave me an error. And that's because we made a mistake here. Is, as you can see, we're selecting this into a variable, but we're not specifying for which customer. So that's a mistake we made. So what we need to do here is where, whoops, you need to do that after. So we need to come here, we're going to do where that customer ID is equal to customer ID, right? Because the thing is, you can only have store one value into this, and when you do like this without the where clause, it's basically returning all the rows. So that's why we're getting this. So I'm going to select this, we're going to run this again, And oh, okay, so it's basically already exists. We need to drop this function. So what I can do, I can say function, and then I'm going to drop this first, and I'm going to select this, and we're going to run it. So the function has been dropped, and now we're going to come here and run it, and boom, now it's created. So let me get rid of this. I don't want to accidentally run it. And but what I will do is now if I run this, and there you go. So it was able to successfully run and return to me the age. So you can, this is very powerful actually. You can use this in your normal SQL, let's say select and other queries. So let's say I can do like this now. I can say see the date of birth, and now I can call my function. I can say f get age c dot customer ID. I can say from customer C. So remember this query we were in before, but now we can actually, and just like your normal queries, you can just run it like that. And as you can see, we're calling this function and it's calculating the age for us. All right, now let's talk about indexing. It's an important topic. Indexes in SQL are used to organize data and accelerate data retrieval. Basically, indexes should be used on columns frequently involved in filtering, joins, order by, or group by operation. So to create an index, use the create index command. So let's say we look up customer by email, then we can create an index like this. So I'm going to do create an index, okay, and then I'm going to call it IDX, and we will say customer email like that, and then we'll say on, and we'll do customer, the table name, and then the column like that. I'm going to run it, and there you go, the index has been created. So why is this useful? If you have customers that keep logging in using their email address, you want to do that in a production database, because it will actually speed up your queries as the database grows. One thing to keep in mind is that indexes does speed up the reading, but they can slow down the writing because the index needs to be updated every time. So for example, if I just refresh this, right, so as you can see under indexes, this is the index that we just created, and the it's basically showing up here under the indexes. And now we can talk about the next thing is performance. How can you analyze your queries? Well, the simple thing is just to explain and analyze, okay? And then we're going to do, let's say I want to do select star from customers. So why would you want to do this? Well, so let's say if you're running queries and for some reason they're running very slow, so you want to figure out which query it is that's actually running slow, right? So this is the command you want to use, and you can see the time it took is 0.133, or actually 133 millisecond, I think, and return 5 rows. But if we had a huge database, then probably you will see a different number here. So that's how you can analyze your queries. And the other thing you can also do is see some statistical info about your let's say tables, and that data is stored in the statistics table. So let's see how we can see it. So I can do select star from, you want to get into the information, and it's called schema, and then we're going to say statistics, okay, and then here you want to specify the table name. So I can do table name, okay, and I will say, let's say orders, okay, and if I run it, so there you go, you can see these are some statistics about your orders table. As you can see the indexes that it has, you can see them here, and then the other thing you can see is, let's say, the index type. So I think you have full text, it's using a binary tree, I think. You can see that, and then the cardinality. This usually helpful for, I guess, DBAs, but I just want to show you guys that you also have this. Okay, so now we're gonna get into something exciting, and that's called the user management. I think it's an important topic that you should learn. So you can assign privileges to an individual user, which is okay if you have a very small team, but I think the better way to do this would be to actually create roles and then assign users to those roles. So let me show you guys how we can do that. So first of all, we are going to create roles, okay, roles. Okay, so how do we do that? We're going to do create, and I'm going to do role, Okay, and let's say we're going to have for our gift shop, we're going to have three kind of roles: a sales manager and an admin. Okay, so a sales is not supposed to be doing updates. They should only be able to see orders, only doing selects on them. A manager can update things, but only on, let's say, the I don't know, orders and customers, but not on the gift. And then an admin, as you guessed it, have full access. Okay, so we come here and then we are going to do sales. Okay, and then you want to do at localhost. Okay, because we're running a localhost, so that's why I'm going to do localhost. And then the other role I'm going to create is manager at localhost, and then finally I'm going to create the at localhost. If you don't specify localhost, then what it will do is it will create role like this: sales at and then the percent sign. So that's why I'm specifying localhost, because we are in a localhost environment. Anyway, so now that we have this, I'm going to run this, and there you go. So that worked. So if you come here to, let me just minimize this. So if you guys remember in the beginning we talked about this users. So if I refresh it, there you go. So we have admin, manager, and sales role created. By the way, if you run this and if you get an error, chances are that you already have created that role. So you might want to check that. Anyway, so now that we have the roles created, now what we can do is we can grant some permissions, right? So we're going to do grant permissions. Okay. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to do grant. Okay. And we'll do select. Okay, we just want to give this select, you can see operation on, and then you specify the database. So I'm going to do gift. I'm going to do gift shop DB, and then on what table? Orders. Okay, and then who do I want to give it to? We're going to give it to sales at localhost. Okay, so what this says is grant select permissions only on the orders table under the gift shop database to this role. All right, so let me run it, and there you go. So the permission has been granted. And then similarly, what I can do is I can also grant permission for the manager. So what I can do, I can say grant, and then what we will do is we'll say select. We want to do insert, and then we want to do update on, and we're going to do gift shop db dot star. So now what I'm saying here is give select insert update on all the tables in the gift shop database. So who do you want to give it to? I will say to, and we will say manager at localhost. Okay, so let's run it. Boom. So that's that. And now finally we have the admin. So for the admin, we're just going to give all the permissions, right? So we're going to do grant all, okay, on, and the same thing, we're just going to do gift shop db dot star, and we're going to give it to admin at local host. Okay, so we're saying basically grant all the permissions on this database to admin at localhost. So let me run it, and there you go. So now all the permissions have been granted, and now what we can do is let's just see how we can let's say you have all these, right? Or you join a new team and you want to see what kind of permissions or grants are actually happening. So before I do that, what we need to do is we're going to create our users, and then for those users we can actually check their permissions. So now I'm going to say create users, and we're going to say create. We'll say user. Okay, so first I'm going to create, let's say Ali, and then at localhost, and then identified by, and we're going to give it a password. So we're going to do password 123. Of course, you want to put use a strong password in production, but what I'm saying here is create a user, Ali, in localhost, because as I said, we're in localhost, and this person will be identified by the password, by this password 123. So I'm going to hit enter, and this user has been created. Now to show you guys, if I come here and do a refresh, there you go. Mr. Ali is actually here under the roles. So what I'll do is I'll create another user, and what I will do is I'm going to say create, same idea. I'll say create user, And this time what I'll do is I'll create Joe, and we will say at localhost, and this person identified by, let's say I'm going to give them all the same password just for easiness, because later on we're going to be logging in as one of these users and we'll see what happens. Okay, finally I will create the third user, and it's going to be, let's say, Mr. Raj at localhost identified by, and we will say again same thing, password 123, and I can run it. Okay, probably made a mistake here. Let's see what. Okay, should be create actually. Sorry, I don't know why I said that. Let me run it, and there you go. So if I now refresh this, I have all my 3 users, Joe and then Raj, are created here. Okay, so now we have created users, but at this point the users don't have any permissions or anything. So now what you do is you can grant users. Actually, what you do is assign users to roles, right? So how do you do this? Well, I'm going to do grant, okay? Then I'm going to pick my role at localhost. So let's say Joe joined, and Joe will be working in sales. So we're going to assign sales to Joe. So I'll do 2, and then we're going to do Joe at localhost. Okay, so this is going to assign. So whatever permission sales have, that's going to be assigned to Joe. So I say you have a large team and you have, let's say, all these sales. You create the sales role, and now you can just put people into sales, and if they leave, remove them, or if they change department, you just move it to a different department. Very powerful. So now I'm going to run this, and that executed well. Well, let's go here, and then now what we're going to do is we're going to do the manager, and then that's going to be Raj. Let's say Raj is our manager, so I'm going to run this, and then finally we're going to have admin. So let's say Ali is our admin. So we're going to do admin and Ali, and we're going to run it. So Ali is the under admin, Raj is under manager, and Joe is sales. Okay, so now we have basically assigned. We created roles, we created users, we have granted them permissions. But let's say now we want to check, right? Like what the heck is going on? So we're going to do check. And the way we do this is we're going to do show. We're going to do grants. So let's say you join a team and you want to see, okay, you know what kind of permission Joe has. So if I just run it, so you're going to see this, right? So it says grant sales to Joe. So Joe belongs to sales, you can say group, but that's not really helpful. What we can do is we can do using sales at localhost. So if I run this now, so now you can see exactly what kind of permissions Joe has, right? He can only do select on this gift shop. So let's say, for example, now I want to do Raj, and then under the let me just do sales, right? So it shouldn't show us anything because see, he doesn't belong to that. But if I do, let's say under manager, if I run it, there you go. So now you can see Raj has select, insert, update on gift shop, basically a database, right? So that's how you have that. So now what we can do is we're going to basically log in as one of the user, and let's say I'm going to log in as Joe, it belongs to sales, and let's see if I can do anything other than select on the database. All right, so here I am in my terminal, and let me just clear this. And as I said at the beginning of the course when we were installing the MySQL, so for Mac, SQL is under user, local, and then MySQL and bin MySQL, right? So this is where our SQL is installed. So now what we can do is we can actually, let me expand this a little bit. What we can do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in as user Joe, and then the password is password 123. All right, cool. So I have logged in as the user Joe, and let's see if I can. First, what I'll do is I will do select current role. Okay, so current role is set to none, right? So we need to switch the role first. So how do we do that? We're going to do set role, and then I'll set the role to sales at localhost. Boom. So now the role is actually set to sales. So now if I do select current role, then as you can see, I am in the sales role is basically active, right? So now let's say I want to do select. So if you guys remember, Joe, let's go back here and I'm just gonna do sales, sorry, Joe, and whoa, I'm going to do sales. So if I run it, so Joe or sales basically group can only do select on the orders table, right? So let's go back here and let's say I want to select star from, I don't know, gift shop db dot gifts or gift. If I do that, I get this select command denied for user this for table gifts because I just don't have the access. But what if I do this select star from gift shop db dot orders? If I do that, there you go. So now I can see I can see I can see all the orders because that's the only access I have. Okay, so let's say now Joe wants to give his friend, I don't know, discount, and Joe thinks like he has access to the orders table. So what I will do is I'll say update, and I will do let's say orders. So gift shop db dot orders, and what I will do is I'll say set amount is equal to $10. You know where gift shop db dot customer ID is equal to 2. Let's say that's my friend. I want to give them discount, but so sorry, Joe, because Joe just does not have access to modify that. Okay, so there you go. So I can exit out of this. Okay, and let's say I'm going to now log in as the admin because we know that the admin has more privileges. So I'm going to do password 123, boom. So let's see. Okay, why was admin denied? So it's not admin. The admin was actually I think it was Ali. Yeah, there you go. So now same thing. We're just gonna do. We're gonna first select the role. Select current role. Okay, so current role is none. So I'm gonna do set role, and it's going to be admin at localhost, like that. So again, let's just do current role, and there you go. So now I can do select star from gift. I need to specify the db sorry dot orders, or let's say gift. By the way, you can also select set the database at the beginning, so you don't have to do the gift shop db. But yeah, so there you go. So now as an admin, I can see this. Let's say I want to delete this entry, you know, because we just don't like it. So as an admin, I can do like this: delete from, and the table name. We'll say gift where gift shop db dot gift ID is equal to, let's say, 8. Okay, unknown column. Let me see. Okay, let's see. Boom. So I just need to remove that. Sorry. So there you go. So that has been deleted. So now if I just do select star from gift shop db dot gift, then as you can see, number 8 has been deleted, and that's it. That's gone. Okay, so that's, I think, it. That brings us to the end of this course on SQL. I hope you guys learned a lot, and I took a lot of effort to make this course. I want to make it as simple as possible and also at the same time interesting. If you guys have any comments, please let me know, and I will be coming up with more content. Bye for now.